Hey, what is up, guys? It is Rising Random here, and what I say I'm gonna be consistent posting, so I'm going to be consistent posting. And it's earlier in the day, so I still barely woke up. I'm trying to be more energetic because I recorded a different video where my words were just slurred and all that. So hopefully it's not a big problem in this one. But if it is, I'm sorry ahead of time. I do kind of have a speech impediment, so you might not be able to understand every word I say, especially since the speech impediment might come out. So in advance, I do apologize for it. But let's get into the video. But also, let's talk business. I have the deal for you. If you subscribe, you hit that like button, you hit that bell button when you subscribe to get on post notifications to every time I post. In return, I give you amazing content somewhat regularly. I'm not going to say super regularly. I might take a day or two off every now and then, which I was thinking about doing it today because, it's July 4th. But I just decided to record it ahead of time and during my free time that I have right now. But other than that, though, let's get inside the video. So we start off inside the court doctor's office where Deku hears he is quirkless because the double jointed peeks into, of course, and that stuns him to his core and falls into his kid depression as he does in canon. He goes through pretty much everything the same as in canon to the Sledger. Well, really everything into the Sledgerland attack. Everything goes up in the Sledgerland attack until he gets up to that point of talking to All Might, where the conversation with All Might doesn't put it as lightly as he does in canon, and he straight up tells him that he could never become a hero, no matter how hard he tried. He couldn't. He was simply powerless. And hearing this statement, it kind of just broke Deku from the inside, and especially because it came from a person he idealized so much, and the person it was like a separate father figure besides his actual father. So Deku was just shattered. But of course he does say Bakugo after going straight home after this, but he goes straight home. Even when the heroes are trying to lecture him to not do something, they try to say something to him, he just walks away. All Might kind of is, because in this timeline, All Might didn't step in to save Bakugo. So the actual pro heroes that was already there. So All Might just kind of lets Deku be, and he doesn't go to talk to him, none of that, because of the fact that he already has his successor, which is Lemillion, of course. Deku sat in his room, stewing in rage on how All Might could say that to him and how he could become a hero even after All Might said that to him. How could he overcome All Might's words? And then it kind of hit Deku instantly that there are people who do save people without becoming pro heroes. And Deku's like, oh yeah, vigilantes and vigilanteism. And he's like, oh, I could do that. But he kind of does takes into consideration All Might's words, that he is kind of quirkless and he isn't as strong as even an average person in his timeline would be because of the fact he's quirkless. So he spent, his summer working out and researching different martial arts, creating a martial art that inherently it exploits the inherent weaknesses of different quirk users. As a tongue twister if you have a speech impediment like me. But it does exploit the inherent weaknesses of different quirk users, such as how a lot of long range quirk users are not very good with hand-to-hand combat, very close range quirk users tend not to use martial arts because they just rely on their quirk so much. And so he kind of realized he could use their strength as a weakness for them and a strength for him. But it isn't completed by any means by the end of the summer. So the summer was basically just spent bodybuilding and learning the basics of several martial arts. So while the UA entrance exams are taking place, Deku is testing his abilities by stopping petty crimes such as robbery without a weapon, but he got in over his head since he really decided that since he saw a small villain attacking a small store, he could stop it. He felt like he was in. He felt like he was strong enough. He's been able to do a lot. He's been toned. He has muscles. He has abs. Like he felt like he's good enough. He felt like he's toned enough. So he took off into the action, punching the villain dead in the face. But the villain just laughs and asks what that puny punch was. So Deku punches him again in the face, and then he knees him in the balls. Dropping the villain down to his knees because all the dudes didn't feel that pain. But when Deku tried to kick the villain in the head, the villain quickly rose up and punching Deku so hard he slammed into the ground. And the villain started just viciously attacking Deku, punching, stomping him. So by the time that the actual heroes arrived, Deku is a bloody mess and barely clinging on to life. Deku is of course rushed into the emergency room and he was in critical condition. His ribs was broken, a badly hurt eye, broken legs, and internal bleeding. The doctors told Inko that Deku's chances of surviving was slim, and that most likely he would die, so prepare for it. And how it all happened. Inko, upon hearing all this, broke down crying and screaming, "God, please don't let this be how Izuku dies, and it's not his time yet," as well as screaming at Deku himself for getting himself in this situation to begin with. And why would he try and be a hero when he has no powers? Inko was truly hurt and stayed by Deku's side for days at a time, barely eating and just praying he recovers. And she herself became ill, since even when the hospital made her leave until the next day, all she did was sit on her car and sleep until the next day, so she could go see Deku again. But she gets admitted to the hospital for weakness and just to relax. And they even write her a note that allows her to leave work until Deku is back to full strength, since she would definitely become ill again, doing the same thing she has done in the past that landed her in the hospital. So while in the hospital, she did become healthier, but she never missed a day of visiting Deku and holding his hand and praying for him, since at this point all his surgeries were finished, but he was still in a coma, and the doctors really didn't expect him to wake up from it. Deku slowly opened his eyes, and he saw his mother at the side of his bed, but he felt super weak, like he felt like he couldn't even move a single limb. But him being the strong-hearted person he is, he lifts his hand and just kind of lays it on his mom's head. That's all he really could do. He couldn't really tap her or nothing. But Inko felt this, and she groggily woke up, and Inko screamed at the fact her son was up. So of course the doctors rushed in hearing this woman scream, and they were all surprised that he woke up too. The doctors explained to Deku how close to death he was, saying, "You was very close to dying, and honestly, we all expected you to. You were very close to death. I just want to emphasize this. And you are also a very, very lucky young man at the fact you didn't die." Oh, and also, Deku cut off the doctors, saying, "Why can't I see out of my left eye?" The doctors quickly explained that during the fight, his left eye was severely damaged, so they had to remove it. And so it's kind of stunted Deku in a way that he kind of just took it in and wondered if he should stop being vigilante, since his first try of testing out not his powers, but his strength, kind of got beaten black and blue and nearly put to death. And his mother even asked him why would he jump into a villain fight, knowing that he was powerless to kind of help him. And these words kind of reignited the fire in Deku, since he remembered all Might said, and the fact that his own flesh and blood said that to him just made him want to prove them wrong. But in his mother's face, he apologized for thinking so rash and for all the suffering he's caused her in about a month or two that he's been out of it. Of course, Inko Of course, Inko accepts it, and Deku, during his extra week at the hospital, does more research on the martial arts that he's been researching for a while. Sorry, my nose is super stuff right now, but he's done more research. He's been doing research on these different martial arts for a while, of course, during the summer, and then while he was fighting the villains. But of course, he did have that period of like that month where he was just kind of out of it because of the fact of being attacked by a villain. So he just kind of has to catch back up. But after a while, he is discharged from the hospital and he goes back to his school, which is just a regular high school at this point. But after like a week into showing up into school, he hardly showed up. And he spent the time he was inside of school just bullying kids who were bullies themselves. And he became notorious for it, even earning the nickname the Weak's Protector among the bullying world, you could say. Since, what he did was just kind of pick on them for picking on those kids. 2 weeks after being released from the hospital, he started snooping around the internet in his area for blacksmith, and eventually he did find a fairly good one with some pretty good reviews online. And so Deku went there and asked the blacksmith to make him 2 katanas, but each sword cost 5,000 yen, which is about $500 in USD. Hopefully that is like a good sword range. Tell me if I'm wrong. Well, good sword price range, especially for katanas, around a kid-sized katana. So hopefully it sounded about right. I have no idea if it actually is though. But he handed over a lot of cash that had about 5,000 yen in it, give or take. More like, not really give or take, but more like give, because it could probably have more in it, to be honest, than 5,000. But he also had instructions for the blacksmith that the left blade hilt should have one of the blade hilts he's gonna use as the left, but one of the blade hilts should have a closed eye with a scar on it, and the other hilt should have an open eye on it, since that would be his right blade, which if you didn't know, that's actually literally just like how his eyes are set up, is this, the little thing is, yeah. I'm super tired. I'm so sorry right now. But it's just basically his swords are a staple of him, since he's missing an eye, and the other eye it's closed. He doesn't have He doesn't have a glass eye. He just, instead, the doctors, since they didn't want to give him a glass eye automatically, he didn't want it himself. He said, I'd rather just have the eye closed. If you can permanently close it, that would be better. So, of course, they did, and it's a scar kind of just running down the side, on the top of his eye, very similar to, if we watch Zoro, it's very similar to that. I mean, One Piece, and you've seen the swordsman Zoro, which a lot of people have in this community. It's very similar to that, just because of how badly beaten up he was. But once he gets his 2 katanas, he gets 2 bamboo swords, and he starts practicing oh my god, give me a second, Nito Kinho, there we go. And it's just basically just 2 sword style, and he also starts practicing his other martial arts and practicing the basics such as speed and strength and endurance and all that. Deku hated Bakugo and all those who got into UA, since they weren't being powerful enough for the world of heroes and by the heroes themselves, especially All Might, which at this point Deku hatred runs deep into his soul. But Deku goes out hunting for people that can make costumes for villains, since they didn't want to know who he was or what he was going to do with it. So it was kind of perfect. So he starts snooping around. He does find somebody that makes his costume, and the costume is basically the same thing as in the main timeline. Besides, the mask is a little different, which I will also, during this whole entire time, drawing I made, which is not my best drawing, but it gets the picture done. But basically, his costume is the same as in manga Deku, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, search up Vigilante Deku, or manga deku outfit, you will get the outfit I'm talking about very closely. And the mask just kind of sticks onto his face. It's not the same mask that covers his whole entire face. The hair is showing, but the top of his face is like, it's just, you can't see the top of his face. And on the mask itself, there's only one eye opening where of course you can see through, and where the other eye should be, the left eye actually, is just a cut on the mask which Deku made himself. And that's basically his costume for going around doing vigilante work. And I hope you guys enjoyed the series, since this is the start of Deku the Vigilante arc, as I like to call it. So if you guys enjoyed this series, please, of course, again, like and subscribe and hit that bell notification, because this series actually took me a while to make. Not really a while. I was supposed to stay up all night, basically, just writing this. So I hope, of course, you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, please, again, even though I'm saying this a lot, I'm kind of emphasizing the fact that not to hit the like and subscribe button, but also for just show it around your friend group, your Discord, your Instagram group chat, your Facebook group. I don't care what, as long as it's people that enjoy my type of content, because I would like to get kind of just out there and be known. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a great day. And it is, of course, Rising Random, logging off as always. Again, have a great day.